The future of British energy will be powered, as it has been for decades, by the talent and skills of the working people in the Granite City, with GB Energy based in Aberdeen.
More than 1,000 jobs may eventually be created in Aberdeen when Great British Energy is headquartered in the city. That's according to the chair of the publicly owned energy firm, who today said initially hundreds of jobs will come to the region. GB Energy will own, operate and manage clean power projects across the country. But unions have warned that the company must ensure that more British firms benefit from the increase in renewables work. Stephen Brown has more.
It was one of the worst kept political secrets in recent months. After much speculation, finally Aberdeen was announced as the headquarters for the newly created GB Energy. But there have been questions about how many jobs it would really bring to the city. Today the firm's chair said hundreds would be created.
It will be in the hundreds. It may eventually be 1,000 or more in the HQ. And of course you will now say, well, that's not going to help manage the energy transition. And the reason for that is that the large numbers of people that we will be helping employ will be in the supply chain.
The role of GB Energy will be to own, operate and manage clean power projects such as wind farms. Labour hope it will help to boost growth and help workers move from oil and gas.
The aim of GB Energy is to crowd in investment in projects right across the United Kingdom. So yes, the headquarters, we are very proud to say it will be in Scotland, and importantly the Prime Minister announced in Aberdeen, and that's partly to recognise the energy story in the northeast of Scotland for the last 60 years in oil and gas, the importance of the transition, but it's also important to say that on the renewables journey Scotland has also been leading the way and will continue to do in so many ways.
The wider energy sector is going through change. Oil and gas is in decline, but still it supports tens of thousands of jobs. Labour says it will support the industry, and they believe GB Energy demonstrates that, along with its rhetoric around needing oil and gas for decades to come. But government policies around the windfall tax and the ending of new drilling licences worry some. So too does the lack of renewables work.
If you look at offshore wind, what you see is jackets that aren't made in Britain. You're looking at technology that's not made in Britain. You're looking at blades that aren't made in Britain. You know, we have huge swathes of the country where people are willing and able to work, and yet they're sitting there and watching this technology be imported in.
Opposition parties, though, have questioned what GB Energy will do, how many jobs it will help to create across the country, and if it will really bring down energy bills. But those in the sector believe it can help grow the wider energy industry.
So to see something like this, a catalyst sitting at the heart of government, which will really make sure that the issue of the innovation and the support for innovation during that period where it needs the acceleration, where we need this technology to actually make things more efficient, to drive down costs, and actually to get good technology into the next set of infrastructure projects. I think it's super important.
When exactly these jobs will come to Aberdeen is still unknown, but as the city and wider region contemplates life after oil and gas, creating and keeping jobs in the energy sector will be crucial to its future success.
Well, in a moment we'll cross to our Westminster correspondent Paris Gourtsoyannis. But first let's join Stephen Brown, who's live in Aberdeen. Stephen, what could today's news mean for the North East?
Well, I think many people here will welcome the idea that potentially hundreds of jobs could come here, Aberdeen and Grampian Chamber of Commerce, among those welcoming that news, but also saying they believe the sector needs more confidence, because the question is how many more firms, how much more investment might come to this region when GB Energy is headquartered here, and therefore how many additional jobs might also be created. The harsh reality is the answers to some of those questions may take some time. Now, the point of GB Energy, or part of the point of GB Energy, is to try and increase the pace of the just transition. The transition will be vital to places like here in Aberdeen, but also large parts of Scotland where tens of thousands of jobs are potentially on the line. The question for some as well, what mitigation that GB Energy might do in terms of when we have no new offshore drilling licences. That is, of course, the policy that the new UK government is now pursuing.
Well, let's now go to our Westminster correspondent Paris Gourtsoyannis. Paris, did we learn any more today about the wider impact of GB Energy?
Well, we learned a fair bit. Juergen Maier said that as well as the Aberdeen HQ, he wants GB Energy to have bases in Edinburgh and Glasgow, focusing on finance and innovation. And he said he wants to be judged on how many more of those renewable projects GB Energy supports and how many more of those well-paid jobs are based here in the UK. What he couldn't say is when all that investment is actually going to bring down energy bills. Remember, Labour went into the election saying it could cut energy bills by £300, but actually they're rising. And that's before pensioners lose their winter fuel payment. Now, the new chairman of GB Energy is someone who understands the politics of his role. He's given us some numbers today. Ultimately, it'll be up to Labour ministers to deliver them, and quickly.